Hey, it's Mack with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it's Tuesday. It's April the 29th. This will be our chart lesson today, and it was a little bit, well, I say a little bit similar. There's actually some similarities to today compared to yesterday, so we'll talk about those. But for the most part, it's a trading range. We do have a trend working up here. It looks like we've got a bigger channel here. We'll see. We got a little close outside. Um, I don't know if this one is valid because that's the first, you got your first two swings, but this is what confirms it, and it hadn't held yet. It could hold and we could go higher, but you see we got a smaller channel working down, and we really have no close and a new low yet. You may not get one. We'll just have to see. But on one, on a shorter term channel, one this short term, which is only a few bars, um, and that's something I want to talk about from yesterday. Here's yesterday's downtrend. Hopefully you can see that this downtrend and this move is very bearish and looks totally different than this little downtrend here. Now these little small downtrends, sometimes on a break and a retest, you don't get a new low on these because there's something larger in play that keeps that from happening. And if this is a valid channel working up here that's taken over, it may be too strong for prices to get through, so you may not get a low. But look at the difference from yesterday when prices were working down. This thing was very bearish. So when you get a break of this, of a trend line like this, you're going to get a retest to the low. And there was, you could have been looking at the short. There was a shorter term. I didn't mean to do that. There was a shorter term channel working down through here as well, like so. Actually, I think we had it more like this right here. And if you get a break there, you're going to get a new low, and a lot of times you're going to get a retest of the last low with two legs down. That's a huge move, and we'll come back and talk about that. I don't want to get confused here and all that, but let's go through the trades, and I'll come back, and I want to talk about that area because there's been a lot of comments on the site, particularly from one particular individual, and I want to make sure that everybody understands the difference between a retest on a little channel like this and a retest on a move like this. This is a bigger channel here, and it's in play. And, you can't deny that trend line right there. It comes right off the first few swings there. And it's there whether you can see it or not. There's a midline in here, and if you measure the distance between those two, it's pretty much an equal distance line. And we show that a lot, but we'll come back to that. So opening up, we had a little channel working up. We had a break, a move to a new high. We came down and tested that low. Then you got a channel working down. Look at this. You got this channel working up. You use the first couple of swings. That matches on the top. You get the break, move to a new high. Then you got a little channel working down. You use the first two swings. You get a break, a move to a new low. Then you got a little channel working up. You get a break, a couple of legs to a new high, then you got a channel working down. You get some closes outside here, a move to a new low. You got a channel working up. You get a break, move to a new high. You get a little tight congestion looking, but it's still working down. You get a break, a move to a new low. Then you got a channel working up. You get a break, move to a new high. Now you got a channel working down. It's there every day. Now just because you can't see it doesn't mean it's not there. Being able to see it after the fact is your first step. You got to learn to be able to at least see it after the fact. And then once you're able to do that, then you will slowly start to pick some of this up in real time. It'll go off like a light bulb one day. You'll say, hey, there's your break and you move to a new high. Now we know we're working down. And there's your break and move to a new low. Now you're working them. You can see even in these shorter term ones, usually the trend line rules hold. Now there's always an exception to every rule. And this could be one of them here because you might have a bigger channel in play that keeps you from making a new low here because this channel may take over and we may work higher from here. But you will still get an attempt, and you can see prices are attempting. I don't know if we've really got a close outside there yet. This may be just a tad higher. So I'm not even convinced we've got a close outside of it yet. It's so close it's hard to determine that one. So just like these were hard to determine, they're real close. But if you draw it off all those closes at the highs, these obviously, especially this one right here, there's a good chance that you've got to close outside there, and then you get to move to a new low, and then there it goes. And the thing is, I'll hear people say, well, I'm not quite sure I've got it right. I think I do, but I don't know. Well, if you don't know, you know the answer to that. Don't take a trade. If you're not 100% sure, don't take a trade. Um, because sometimes we are wrong. I mean, we get it wrong. I get it wrong. Everybody gets it wrong. But when we get it wrong, it's usually because we read the price action wrong. And the price action doesn't lie. It's there. And and just like yesterday, we'll come back and talk about that. But here's your first channel up. It's working up. All you would see it when I came in, all you could see was this right here. That's all you had. And so you're working on a possible another leg up, but you got a break, so you got a new high, so you got to be careful. And then guess what? You get a little double top there, and you come back and you get a lower high. Um, so you get a short right there. Um, you don't want to take the first one. You want to wait on the second entry. And it's not really a good setup. I went back and forth whether or not to make that one green, and maybe it should be green. But you got all your criteria in place other than a confirmed trend in the other way. You got your first two swings there, but you don't really have a confirmed trend until right here. And it's such a short term, and then you get your break. But anyway, you could go short right here, nice second entry short, counting off that high. You've got your break of your trend line, a new high. You've got all these. You can tell there's resistance up there. It's working down now. You don't have room on this one. You didn't get a good signal bar until right here, and you're so close to these lows, I think it's risky, and you're so close to the bottom of the channel. So just sit tight, and you really can't go long there, even though you've got this double bottom. I don't think you can go long there. I think it's too risky because you've got this little channel working down, and you don't have a break of it yet. You could hit right there and turn down, and plus you got 1, 2, 3, 4 overlapping bars in a row stacked up. A couple of them are dojis, and then another one. That's a sure sign of congestion. And the reason you're really finding the congestion is because the market's finding support right there. Let me just try to make this a little bit bigger. Oops, didn't mean to move that one. Okay, so you really can't go short here, even though it's a failed second entry long. That might have been a reason to enter it, but I don't like it. I think it. There's too many reasons not to take it. Let's see what 1870. Guess what? It would have worked. But I just think it's too risky. It's too close to these lows. It's too close to the low of that. If you could get in on a limit order after it broke lower, maybe, but I don't think that was possible based on my recollection of what happened there. And then, of course, you bounce right at the lows again, and then you come up, you turn down here again. This is a first entry. There are two legs. There's one leg up, a pull back, and a second leg up. This is not a very good signal bar. But aggressive trader might go short there. I think it's a little risky. You are looking for a retest, but it could come down. And and the one thing about this one is there is plenty of room to get out before you get back down here to the lows again. Even if it can't make a new low, you still got room to scalp out. But it does make a new low, and then it's headed up. And again, now you've got 1, 2, 3, the fourth time, and you get that little break lower. And when this broke higher, you might have dropped a limit order in there and taken that one. Again, it's aggressive. You're better off to wait on the second entry, which doesn't come till here. And you get a chance to enter this one. And you actually had another entry here on a second entry counting off the low, but it's too close to the highs. Same thing that we had over here. And I just think it's too risky. And there's a breakout pullback long, but again, it's not a very good setup. There is a failed second entry short, but you can see it wouldn't have worked unless you got in way down here. It's just too risky. This looks too much like a range now. You can see it. It's obvious that this is looking like a range, and we get a failed breakout. Somebody really aggressive might go short there, but again, I think if it would have, notice how it broke higher and turned down. When it couldn't go lower there, I think you had to wait, even though took on off pretty quickly because what happens, they just trapped a lot of traders, and most traders know that breakouts fail, but you just don't know exactly when it might fail. So, but you do have everything you need for the reversal. Then you get a second entry short right there, nice setup bar. It takes it a few minutes, but guess what? Then you get the failed second entry long. Now you got a trap. You got this trend line. You get a confirmation of it. It broke out higher first. Just put a stop there, and off it goes. So you could have, if you didn't enter here, you definitely won't enter here. You could have added on, and it runs down. And then guess what? Um, you pull back and you get a little break here. This one is not obvious that you've definitely got a break. I think it's close enough. But then when you get this, notice this: you got a high, you make a lower low, you make a lower high, and then you come back and retest it. So you got this high and you retested it twice. What is the rule on that? And that came into play yesterday based on all that conversation on that video, and I'll go back and talk about that in a minute. That gives you a second entry short, a failed second entry long, a double test of a recent high, and a downtrend bias right now. The only thing to be concerned about is you're right here at these lows, but you went right on through, and so and the second entry long failed, so you know you got trap traders. Just take that short, and you know you're going to work down and try to test this low and probably make a new low. And if you do start working lower, then you want to try to look for a measured move based on what the earlier channel was. And this was your earlier channel. And so you're looking for a measured move, which was right there. And that's basically right where it goes to. It goes one tick further. I don't even know if it might have went one tick further there. And so you got a perfect measured move there on that channel. And guess what? Then it bounces. And again, an aggressive trader might have gone long here. I think there's too much overlap right there. Notice how those bars are all stacked up side by side. This is what congestion looks like, stacked up side by side. But this is a nice reversal bar. It didn't quite close on its top, on its high, but it went a couple of ticks higher than the previous highs, and it went lower first. So you could have gone long on a stop right there. Because this was so close and there wasn't it wasn't 100% clear that we closed outside, I think it's risky. So, I'll go ahead and circle it in green because I believe, and that is the overnight low, and you almost always see, it's very rarely that prices will shoot through that overnight low without some kind of bounce. And plus, guess what? We broke out from under here, so you're going to come back and try to test it, but it doesn't hold. It goes right on through, and it's still holding as support, like so. And so that's the reason it's still working higher. But then you get a second entry long right here, and that's right back inside this support. Your most touches and closes are really right along there. And notice how it pulls back, it closes inside that. It's really close to that high, but the odds are we're probably going to work back to this high. And so I like that one. And there it goes, easy trade. And now you've got your break and your new high. And now you're working down, and you could have this off those first couple of swings. And this really confirms it, but you can't go short right there because it's kind of congestive looking. You need a trap. And then you get that failed second entry long. It does break the trend line, though, and the lows are only right here. So I went back and forth about whether or not to make that one green. It probably wasn't a bad idea to use a limit order, and you see it could have gotten filled back a tick or two at least. But you're expecting prices to probably come back down to here. And notice how we came up a little short there. Well, we overshot it by that much down here. And if you didn't enter here, I think it was too risky to enter again here because you were finding too much support right there. And it could have just as easily went higher and then came back down. But it comes on down and then it bounces again. And look where it bounces once again, right here at this same spot. But you need to wait on a second entry, and you never really get one until you're back to the high. So I don't think there were any setups right there. You are looking for it to make a measured move. Or try to, but you don't know that it will because it may not get through here, and even if it does, it's still got to get through this point. But you can see we made, as far as the closes go, we made a perfect measured move, and it overshot it just slightly. Um, and then you get to break, your two legs down, and look at that reversal bar. I like going long right there. It kind of got hung up, and you might have exited this one with a tick or two or whatever. You might have even, really what I suggest is you probably, since this is so close to these highs, but you are looking for a retest, I would suggest let it pull back and try to get a limit order. And that's what happens is the smarter traders just sit tight and wait on it to pull back, and then they enter. And then they can get out before it even gets to the high. And if they get a runner, that's great. But then you get the break high or the pullback, and notice this new low. First entry short, pullback, second entry short, and look at that reversal bar. That's what a breakout pullback. You're getting rejection off that high. Now it's acting as support. It was resistance. Now it's acting as support. Again, I would probably use a limit order here, and that's why I drew this one green. It's a little bit risky because you're right at the highs, and so if you can't get in a little further back, you don't have room to get out here. So that's why I drew that one green. There is a trap though, and notice if you use a stop, it would have worked. And you probably should have had this line from here pulled up. You don't know that it's not up here at that point, uh, but it looks like it fits better right there. And we just had a little overshoot right here. Now we got a little overshoot to this side. It's about equal. So we could continue to go higher here. We'll just have to see. This is really congested looking. Um, they're not stacking up. We'll see if we can make a new high here. If we end up making an equal high here, then you've got more of a little trading range look to it. So, but that's what I saw trade wise. But this right here is almost, it's very similar to what we saw yesterday. The trader was saying you couldn't sell there, but you got to, on this way down, you're using the trend line rules. So the bias is down. Look at the EMA pointing down. And everything's still under the EMA. This is the first break of the trend line. But yesterday, it's even more obvious. I mean, he's saying you couldn't go short right here, that this is, notice how you got a double top here. You got a little trap. Notice this low is lower than that low, and then this high is lower than those two highs. So this is a double retest of that area that fails. And anytime the market tests something twice and fails, especially counter trend, you want to get on with a trend. And there's another couple of clues here. Let me make this a little smaller. There's some other clues right here. Notice this was the support. It's a double bottom, and it looks like a trading range. It's acting like a trading range. But look what happens when you get out here. It shoots right through. It doesn't even hardly find any resistance there. It shoots right through, and it goes way on down lower. You should have picked up some buying in here, and you didn't. And then it tries to go higher, and it turns down and goes even lower. Well, if I remember right, I think the trader said that, well, because you had the overshoots over here, um, that meant that you couldn't go short here. I don't know what he's talking about there. For one thing, you would have had this probably here originally, but once it started going lower, but even, let's say, even if you had it up here where it fits a little bit better right down through there, where you might have, and you thought these were an overshoot, when you get an overshoot like that, that just tells you, if it happens once, it's probably an overshoot, but if it keeps breaking lower, that's telling you that there's probably your support is somewhere else, and if it was on the way up, your resistance is somewhere else. So you want to move to the next point, and as soon as you made that right there, that's where I would put it, right off that one, and see if the next one holds. And of course it does, and then it heads the other direction. So maybe maybe this is it right here, and we just had an overshoot, because then it did correct, and you can see that. But you can't deny that that is holding prices right through there. And look how it's acting as support, then it acts as resistance, and it's actually a little further down right here. And then it comes back and kind of acts as resistance there, and then it acts as support there. So you can't deny that that line is coming into play there. And it's the same line as that. It's the same identical. It's just a copy of that line. And maybe it's off a little. Maybe that's why I couldn't get it to fit as nicely. Sometimes as I move these around, I get them out of whack. But you can see that now. That fits perfectly. And it's acting as support, then resistance, then resistance, then resistance, resistance, then support. I mean, there's no doubt that's there. And it's pretty much an equal distance between those two. And so I believe that was your bigger channel, and this was just a midline. So, but anyway, back to this. Notice your new low. This was a first entry, and we weren't back to the trend line. So yes, that was aggressive. But this is a very weak market, and this is like it's a retest of the support. Notice how you retested it, and it's holding. So now it's acting as resistance, and then it tests it again, and it actually gets through a little bit, but it hits the trend line, and that holds. So that's a second entry short, counting off the low, exactly what you want. And it's got a little break higher, and so that's a little bit of a trap. And then it comes back again and tests it again, and guess what? You get this big bearish bar right off. And I think yesterday I had an even better bar than that. And I reloaded, of course, the historical data, so it's a little bit different than what I was getting in real time. And so you definitely got to take that one. Now you've got this resistance area, and you retested it twice, and boom, off it goes. And of course, this is all one move down, and then you're looking for another measured move down. So lots of reasons that, and this is not necessarily congestion here. Notice how you're getting higher lows. You're getting lower lows, I mean, down through here, and you're getting lower highs right down through here too. So that's telling you something. That's telling that that the buyers each time up are losing steam, and the sellers are gaining steam. And notice how the closes are happening lower and lower, and then you get that one little tick up, and you get that failed second entry long counting off that high. Definitely got to go short there. So you definitely don't want to be buying this either. There's been no break of this main trend line down there, so there's no way you can buy that. No way whatsoever. Especially when prices are swinging both sides of the EMA there, because that's closer to a congestion in a trading range than anything. So I see why that trader said, hey, you can't go short there because it's congestion. But when you've got a downtrend this strong, you're looking for reasons to get short. So you better bet you can go short right there. Again, the first couple might have been a little bit more aggressive. This one wasn't so much, because if you're treating that like a trading range, it's a failed break higher, and there's enough room to get out before you get here. So there's nothing wrong with that trade based on. So there's multiple reasons to take that trade. You got to bounce off the trend line. You got a failed break above a double top in a downtrend, a strong one at that. You're retesting support, and now it's acting as resistance. I mean, there's all those reasons to go short right there. And then you get the next touch and the next touch. And so now you've got a failed second entry long. That's on this one. But this was a second entry short right here, counting off the highs. Plus, you could count that as the same thing, counting off the lows. So I hope that makes sense to people. If you can't see it, I mean, at the very least, maybe you don't take the shorts here. Maybe you only wait until there was the trap. But you can't go long right there, because you're underneath the previous support and it's acting as resistance. You still haven't had a trend line break, so there's no reason to go long there. So at the very least, you sit tight and you wait on something to happen, and then you get the little trap and you can go short right there. And it's as simple as that. I mean, you should be able to see this after the fact. Sure, maybe you couldn't see it in real time, but you should be able to see it after the fact, especially with me describing it to you. And if you can't see that, then you still got some work to do. Is it easy to see in real time? Not nearly as easy, because your mind plays tricks on you. You start saying, okay, we're going, but you got to look at the big picture, and you got to realize the bias is down right here. And remember, whenever you break through strong support, you're usually going to come back and test it a few times, and the two test rule right there comes into play. Just like right here, we broke through this, and guess what? We came back to test it, and it didn't hold. If this didn't hold and it got inside and then it holds to the other side, yeah, you got something going on there, but that didn't happen. So I hope that, and this was very similar right here, except you don't have near as big a downtrend, and you don't have the same things going on. So it's very similar. But it looks like we're still working lower. See how this didn't hold? I'm not, it's maybe just the first break of this. This could still be a channel here. It's not a strong channel or we would have bounced higher from there. I'm thinking the trading range is probably still going to take precedent. But notice those matching lows, and now we broke lower. We kind of broke lower out of the top, and now we've and failed. Now we broke lower out of the bottom. And we did get the break of the trend line. We have a new low now. So we could go higher from here. We'll see what happens. Um, So yeah, you just have to be able to see these things happening. And I wouldn't be going long now. I would just sit tight and see if we get a trend going to the other side. And then if we do, you can start going long. But there's still this resistance right here that you got to work through. So you need the right setup, and you can't go long here until you get something proven that we're going the other way. Aggressive trader might go long there um, trying to catch something. But again, personally, I wouldn't take this any long. I'd just sit tight here and see what happens. I'm guessing that we've got the break in the new low, so I'm guessing we could try to work higher, but this range may hold right here. So it's just yet to be seen. So, but anyway, that's what I saw today, and I hope that helps with yesterday. And if that trader wants to, I'm not going to, there's a lot of comments there on the, on the video, but I think we're just backpedaling there. It's not the place really to go into. I know discussing. There's nothing wrong with asking questions, but we're continuing to beat a dead horse. It is what it is, and you can't deny the price action is never wrong. So you can't argue with it right here. I mean, you can if you want, but you're just arguing. You're never going to learn anything, and it's futile to. What you need to do is try to figure out why this happened. And I just tried to explain to you why it happened, so hopefully you understood that. But hopefully me explaining it, I mean, this first trade right here, this first entry, it doesn't look anything like congestion. It just looks like a pullback and a downtrend. And you got your midline, and you went about halfway over, and you're about halfway over. Sure, you're not back here, so that's a little aggressive, but you got this support, so that might be enough reason to take it for somebody aggressive. But it is the first break of this trend line if you draw your trend line up here, so you're probably going to get a retest. And guess what? You do. You get a retest, you get one tick high, and then now you're going to get a chance to enter on a second entry. Notice your new low, first entry pullback. That's a second entry. Plus you got a little trap. Plus you're coming off the trend line. Plus you're retesting support. So that's a pretty good entry right there. It's still a little aggressive, but it's a good second entry in with the trend. And look at it go. Quick easy trade. And then it pulls back again, and then you get another little setup right there. Now it's starting to look a little bit like congestion or a little trading range. So now if you don't take it without a better trade, but notice how you made a lower low right there, and so far you got a lower high right there. And then you get that touch again, and then it turns down. And so now you've got a second entry short right there with a pretty good, if you break below this bar, now you got a pretty good signal bar with a second entry short, and look at it go. And actually before that it pulled back right there, it pulled back. And so now you got a failed second entry long. That really, there were people still trying to pick a bottom here, and you can't do that yet. And so if you didn't enter yet, now you definitely have to enter. So I hope that's real clear. I'm not gonna try to beat that dead horse any longer. So I'm gonna wrap it up, and we'll be back to do it again tomorrow. If you do have other questions on that, send it to me personally, and I'll try to answer them. This is Mack with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.